morning. My name is Travis County Judge Andy Brown. Welcome to Austin and Travis County. We have just arrived from San Antonio on this wonderful Amtrak this morning. I want to give special thanks to some folks you're going to hear from. Bexar County Judge Peter Sakai, San Antonio City Council Member Melissa Cabello Haverda, Nuevo Leon Deputy of Economic Development Emmanuel Liu, and as well as Senior Vice President for Amtrak Andy Byford. Thank you for being here. We've got County Commissioners Ann Howard, Bridget Shea, County Judge Ruben Becerra from Hays County, State Representative Barbara Gervin Hawkins from San Antonio, and Universal City Mayor Tom Maxwell. Maxwell? There you go. Thank you for being here. Also City Council Member Bear Goolsby. So we all made the early trip from San Antonio this morning, the daily service that we have from San Antonio to Austin, and then it heads north. Months ago, this journey started with me and Judge Sakai trying to make it easier to watch the Spurs in San Antonio if we live in Austin, and trying to make it easier to go see Austin FC here in Austin if you live in San Antonio, without having to take that commute on I-35. But as we delved deeper, it became clear that we needed to address the bigger picture of trying to improve passenger rail service all across Texas, especially between San Antonio and Austin. As county judge, my job is to address the economic disparities that create unequal outcomes in the county, and we've got a booming super region that needs a lot of addressing about those inequalities. A key part of this is ensuring access to safe, reliable, and timely transportation. This means embracing safe, reliable, and affordable transportation solutions such as robust passenger rail systems that link the cities and the regions that we're talking about today. At the intersection of the trade routes between United States, Mexico, and Canada, Texas is in a unique position to benefit from expanded rail capacity. Intercity rail connections don't just make it easier for Texans to get around, to travel for education, for employment, and for sports. It also helps drive economic development, enhance public safety, and alleviate highway congestion. The Austin-San Antonio corridor is huge. It's around 5 million people in the sort of greater metropolitan areas today. It's going to be about 8 million people by 2050 if things continue on the way that they're going. Texas is going to be even more and more attractive to more Fortune 500 companies in this region and across the state. So that's really why Judge Sakai and I started the Texas Passenger Rail Advisory Committee. We brought together rail experts from TxDOT, from Amtrak, from the community, from across the board, as well as local elected leaders, to find creative solutions for improved rail transportation between San Antonio and Austin. We quickly learned that we have a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-generation opportunity with the bipartisan infrastructure law that provides $66 billion for passenger rail developments across the country. And this funding, part of that funding, is something that we deserve here as Texans. And we can get to that funding by supplying 20% of the cost. The feds will supply 80% of the cost of improved passenger rail in Texas. We knew that we could not miss out on this opportunity. TxDOT has done a great job of going through the grant process to tap into those funds. I want to give a thanks to Jeff Davis, who's not here today but wanted to join us from TxDOT, and for getting the $500,000 grants for the different corridors around Texas to get to the next level of passenger rail service. In total, that was an award of $3.5 million by the FRA, the Federal Railroad Administration, to Texas through the Corridor ID program. While we're making this push, other states are already moving forward. Economic competitors like California, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, and Nevada are aggressively investing in passenger rail, leveraging new federal programs to advance both freight and passenger rail, and we need to do the same thing here. All at the same time, they're reducing their carbon footprints. We need to do that here. Texas has so far missed out on over $19 billion in federal funding because we don't have a system in place that is funded to match those dollars. By reallocating a small portion of our state budget surplus, we can modernize our transportation system, give another option to commuters here in Texas, and make it safer, more efficient, and more reliable to travel around the biggest cities in our country, which are right here in Texas. We already spend more on transportation than any other state here in Texas. Now it's time we get smarter about how we allocate those funds. If you're watching from home and support expanding passenger rail from Texas, call your city council member, call your county commissioner, call your county judge, call your state representative, call your state senator and urge them to sign this letter that we are sending to the Texas legislature to advocate for enhanced funding. It's time that we invest in our future, that we meet demands of our rapidly growing super regions and position Texas as an economic powerhouse so that we can get more frequent trains like this that is departing right now. We don't want to miss the boat or the train. So thank you so much, and I'm going to pass it now to my good friend, Judge Peter Sakai from Bexar County. Judge Sakai.
Thank you, Judge Brown. I am honored to be here in Travis County. We got on the train this morning about 6 a.m. and took it over here. This is my first train ride on the Amtrak Eagle. Let me just kind of quickly get to the heart of the matter. I echo and second everything that Judge Brown has said today, but I think what I want the public to understand of what this trip, railroad trip, means to our community. One is it's Travis County, it's Hays County, it's Bexar County, and all the local communities in between, and including going all the way down to our southern border to Webb County and into Mexico. Because what is most important and what I want the public to understand is the conversations, the meetings that we had on the train focused on creating economic growth. We also had a significant conversation about reducing road congestion and promoting multimodal transportation. What that simply means is we can't put more cars and trucks on IH-35. We can't build more lanes. What we're going to have to do is look to alternative transportation, and it's already here, and we already experienced it with the train ride this morning. So what's economic growth mean for us as a community, especially as a region? And I also want to really take it up to a new level of international relations, especially as it relates to Mexico, and our public officials from Mexico are present here today. What does that mean? It means increased trade. It means more commerce and trade coming across, and where does that have to go? It's going to go on that IH-35 corridor, and that's the reason why rail transportation, including the capacity for freight and including passenger rail in between our communities, are so important. What does it mean by economic growth? It's saving on time and cost. We know that a typical trip from Austin to San Antonio or San Antonio, Austin can take 2 hours, if not more, if there's a traffic accident. I have experienced that. What we did is we basically were able to go up and down in about 2 hours time. And so that is a savings and efficiency that all Texans must embrace. Also, too, we just have to reduce the traffic. I indicated to you sometimes the horrific situations with traffic accidents or just obstacles, road congestion, road building that's going on now. What we need to do now, the public needs to embrace that rail is truly what we have to go through for our economic growth for Travis County, Hays County, Bexar County, all the way to our southern border and into our partners in Mexico. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to me. Thank you, Judge Brown, for your leadership. And I'll introduce Councilwoman Haverda.
Good morning. I'm Councilwoman Melissa Cabello Haverda out of San Antonio. I also chair our Alamo area MPO. I am very excited to have come from the train from San Antonio. It's not, this train ride and what it represents is not just about our commitment to all the areas in between, but really to improve that regional connectivity, economic growth, environmental sustainability, and above all, sustainable transportation. I always say that transportation, I'm very passionate about it because it connects communities, but it also is opportunity. Transportation connects us to healthcare, it connects us to education, it connects us to jobs, it connects us to opportunity. The train ride is symbolic. High-speed rail is symbolic of a high-speed investment into our future. I'm very excited about it. I'll be brief. I can't say how pumped I am about the opportunity for high-speed rail to connect all of our communities, and I really thank all of you for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Emmanuel Liu. I'm with the state of Nuevo León, Mexico. I want to first of all thank all the county judges for Travis, Bear, and also Hayes County for putting this great event together. We are, as a region, if with the center of Texas, 5 million population that the judges just mentioned, and also in Monterrey, 6.5 million population, linking together will be one of the fastest growing regions in the world. So I think the U.S. Trade relationship with Mexico is going to continue to grow. Mexico, for the first time in a long time, has become now #1 trade partner of the U.S., and the more investment that goes into Mexico, the more benefits that come to the United States. A lot of the people from Mexico are investing into the United States. They have a home in Texas. They like to grow their business to Texas. So this perfect partnership of having a high-speed rail, we create a lot of opportunity. The new president already talked about having that connection between Mexico City all the way to Laredo, Texas. We love to grow that connection to the Texas Triangle, which will be the 7th largest economy in the world. So I think as the Mexico authorities, we love to have this connectivity and work hard to with the Texas authorities, continue to grow this relationship. Every day, 25,000 trucks leave Monterrey through Texas to go to the U.S., delivering different goods and services. So I think that's just going to continue to increase. So we have to create new alternatives for that cargo to get here and for that transport, for those passengers to get here. Every day we move a lot of people between the two states. So we look forward to continue working with the state of Texas and with the local and federal authorities to make this a reality. Thank you very much.
We've also got Gabby from the mayor-elect of Saltillo, Austin's sister city, is here today with some other folks. Thank you, Gabby, for being here today. And Zoe Kadri from the city of Austin City Council. Thank you, Zoe, for being here. And Vicki Goodwin. There's right in front of me. State Representative Vicki Goodwin joins us along with Commissioner Howard, Commissioner Shea, and myself. So at this point, we'd love to open it up to questions. I know we've got a lot of talent here behind me, a lot of people that know a lot of things. Feel free to talk to anyone individually, but if you have any questions, we'd love to take them now.
Yes, Dave Montgomery with Media Southwest. I'm covering this for Fort Worth Report, but what, y'all were talking about going south, but what about north? What kind of link-up do you see with the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
Yeah, I think we need improved linkages. So this train, the Texas Eagle, currently goes north. It starts in San Antonio each day, heads north up to Fort Worth, Dallas area, and even farther north. There's one train per day. That you saw the one train that goes north, and then there's one that comes south that hits Austin around 6:30 p.m. So we're working with them. There's a county judge in Denton County that is very interested in expanding passenger rail too. And I think as Amtrak increases its routes, that's going to help connections all the way from that entire route. So San Antonio, San Marcos, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth. And so I'm for any of these options that will work and increase passenger rail. And the Amtrak option, if we're able to go from one train each direction each day to 5 to 10 trains each direction each day, that would be amazing. That's going to take a partnership with Union Pacific and others to do that. But I was talking to Andy Byford a minute ago, there are improvements we could make to the track quality to make it go faster, improved relations that we could get with Union Pacific to avoid any slowdowns because of freight. So I think there's a lot of short-term improvements we could make in this route that will make that whole corridor a better place to travel.
Are there current discussions underway to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I know Andy Byford is working hard in sort of the whole triangle in Texas. I'm working hard. Judge Sakai we're all having discussions. I've met with Union Pacific with Judge Sakai in D.C. they're a huge part of this puzzle as well. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes. Steve Hansen, Real Passengers Association. How can the general public assist you in promoting this and making this happen?
That's a great question. So the question is how can the general public help get this to happen? So calling your local elected officials, your state representatives, your state senators, calling the governor, the U.S. senators, everybody has a piece to play in this in Texas from the elected official perspective. So the local MPOs, Melissa is the chair of the San Antonio Region's MPO. We have our own MPO up here called Campo that we serve on, the chairs from Williamson County. So reaching out to them that you want this would be a great start. We're also drafting a letter as TPRAC, the organization that the judge and I have put together, that we will send to the Texas legislature asking for specific funds to be allocated to the rail fund in Texas. And that's the start of us having that money to draw down those millions or billions of dollars of federal money that we want to draw down? Thank you. Great question.
The Texans are notoriously wed to their automobiles, and what kind of incentives are you going to see to get them into the trains and the public transportation?
Yeah, and Judge Sakai, I may get your help on this one. The goal here is to improve ways to get around. It's going to help our economy. If we had a great service between here and San Antonio that left several times a day, was quick and efficient and safe, we would draw down, I've seen a study that says we would take 25% of the traffic off of I-35 between here and San Antonio. So that means if you're like me and love trains, you can take the train. If you're like someone else and want to take a car, you would have an easier time doing that. I don't know, Judge Sakai, you have any thoughts on that one?
Well, what I would say is the reality that IH-35 is going to be further congested. And so the more trucks coming out of Mexico, coming down from Laredo up to San Antonio, up to Austin, up to the Canadian border, people are going to just get fed up and they're going to look for alternative transportation. So if we're proactive and we can put the vision of what rail transportation can be and how cost effective it will be, especially in light of cost and time. I think we live in a world now, time is money. And so I think it's just going to be the natural market situation that will encourage and enhance and really require people to take the rail, especially if we want to go up and down. Remember, what we're trying to also do, Andy and I, the initial discussion was just to get people from Travis County to get down to San Antonio to go watch the San Antonio Spurs win another championship. And of course, we want to reciprocate and come up here and watch, especially my UT Longhorns, as they're the #1 team in the nation. So we have this mutual interest that we need to get people up and down. And as somebody that does drive up and down, especially during the legislative session, I've been caught in traffic. And so there's going to be a point in time if we don't do anything, if we stay status quo, it'll be gridlock. Even though we have many road transportations on the books, so to speak, I don't think it's enough. And on the long range, 10, 20, 30 years, if we don't do this, we will have true gridlock on Interstate 35. I don't know how much clearer I can make it for y'all.
Thank you. Melissa, anything to close this out or any comments?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I think. Okay. I think that the points have been made specifically about alleviating congestion. Of course, having the option. It really is about moving people and where they want to go. And we want to be in each other's communities, not just Austin and San Antonio, but all along that corridor. I think also thinking about the cost effectiveness. I think initially you think about the investment we make in rail seems like a really high price tag, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to really save us a lot of money as Texans. And so that's another, I think, argument to make to those that might be against it. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to ask, I think Dave touched on this a little bit, but I wanted to talk a little bit more, elaborate on possibilities of connections up to the DFW area.
Sure.
I know that's something that I believe the Fort Worth Telegram, the officials are talking there about in terms of direct connections to Fort Worth, Arlington, from different metro hubs in the state. Is that something? I mean, can you talk to me a little bit about interest there and any conversations that are happening?
Yeah, it's I think an exciting time to be in Fort Worth, Dallas area because they're talking about not only connections in between them, connections down to Austin, but they're, I think, closer to a high-speed option between the Fort Worth, Dallas area and the Houston area. My understanding is that's something that Texas Central and Amtrak have been looking at to have a service that would go from Dallas-Fort Worth to College Station area and then to Houston and then maybe someday to here in Austin. But my understanding, so talking to the Denton County judge, he's very interested in expanding Amtrak service and passenger rail service and really any option that can help them going east to west, but also north to south. And so if there is a solution, an option of getting more Amtrak service on the Texas Eagle, that necessarily will connect us more to that area because they run what's called intercity rail. And so if they do increase these trains, maybe 2 more per day, maybe 10 more per day, that would mean service all the way from San Antonio, San Marcos, Austin, the cities in between, and then Fort Worth, and then Dallas. And so, yeah, I think this is something that, to Judge Sakai's point, we absolutely need it across Texas. We especially need it here. We've got Austin and San Antonio that are 2 of the fastest growing places in the country. They're going to be 8 million people in this region by 2050. If we don't have great passenger rail service by then, we're going to be walking. Thank you.